Hi there, welcome to the second part of my YouTube lesson on improvising over the dominant 7th chord. This is a lesson in 2 parts. Here's the second part, and it's hopefully going to be of interest and of use to those players who are improvising, can already use things like the blues scale, but are looking for more harmonic ideas and techniques to expand your harmonic vocabulary when improvising. So it's great for a lot of jazz music, funk, anything like that where you get a chance to improvise. Okay, so in the first lesson I demonstrated 4 different scales: the major pentatonic, the minor pentatonic, the Mixolydian mode, and the altered scale. In this lesson I'm going to be using those in combination, alternating between those different scales, and then we're going to look at the kind of feel that can create, using them to create tension and release, and just create more variety when soloing. So the first thing I'm going to do is demonstrate just going between the major pentatonic and the minor pentatonic, and this is a common thing that blues players do. They do it around the 12-bar blues. You can do it. I'm just going to demonstrate it on one chord, and you'll see how that creates a different feeling and a different mood, and you can use that to come up with lots more interesting ideas. So I'll start with the major pentatonic, and then I'm going to go on to the minor pentatonic. This is the major pentatonic. Minor. Major. It's kind of happy. Minor. It's the B.B. King riff, which is with the major, 3rd. Yeah. Then it goes to the minor. Okay, so that's a simple one, just demonstrating going between the major pentatonic and the minor. Have a different feel. They both sound good. They both work. As long as you find some licks which work well around those notes. So I'd encourage you to experiment with that. Okay, now we're going to try and go a little bit more complicated. I'm going to use the altered scale, which is a very dissonant scale. It has the notes of the 7th sharp 9 sharp 5th chord, the kind of Hendrix chord, and the notes of the 7th flat 9 flat 5th, that chord as well. So dissonance is the name of the game here. It's used to create tension, and then we're going to resolve that by going back to the Mixolydian mode, which has just the notes of the notes of the chord, the notes which are in the key. So again, I'm just going to do this on the E9th chord. I'm going to go from the altered scale to create tension and then resolve it to the Mixolydian. Here we go. Okay, so just a demonstration there. You can hear the tension there on that altered scale. It feels a bit uncomfortable. You think, well, what's he playing? He's out of key, and then resolving it back to something like the Mixolydian. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to check my tuning first, and then I'm going to demonstrate using the same approach but going between 2 different chords, the E9th and then moving to the D9th. And the reason I'm going to do that is I want to demonstrate using this tension and release idea. So I'm going to create some tension, then the chord's going to move, and as the chord moves, I'm going to release the tension, and that's a really sort of popular thing that improvisers use to make more interest in their soloing or their melody lines. So I'm going to tune up, and then we're going to go and do that. There we go, that's better. Got the guitar in tune now. So I've got the loop station set to play 4 bars of an E9th chord and then 4 bars of a D9th chord. So I'm going to be using the same scales that we looked at, but when it's over the D9, they'll be transposed down a tone to be the the D pentatonic, D mixolydian, D minor pentatonic, and the D altered scale. And the things that I'm demonstrating here is that there's a couple of different things really. One is just very simply trying to play through the chord change. So as it moves from between the chord changes, I don't want it to be like, play the chord, improvise, 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 stop, wait for the chord to change, and then improvise again. It sounds really good if you play through that change. Okay, it sort of gives you a boost behind the melody line, and that's really effective. So that's something I'll be aiming to bring out in this next part. The second thing is around, the timing of when you change scale can have a really big impact on the way that your lead line sits over the chord. So a simple thing to do here is if the chord's moving from E9 to D9, I might just start playing as if the D9 has happened early. Yeah, so I'll start playing my D9 blues scale like half a bar or a bar before, and that will create tension, and then the chord will change underneath me and catch up, and it will resolve. That's a really simple way to create tension. I'll demonstrate that now. Let's do that. So I'm just going to use, probably like some blues scales. Here we go. And the other way. Go back to the D mixolydian now. No, E mixolydian. So at the end there, I just went to that F natural that was going into the D blues scale, but went in just a couple of beats before the chord change, but it was then the chord changes underneath, and it then resolves underneath you. So that's a useful technique. Okay, so now I'm going to look at using these different scales, and I'm really going to be focusing on using things like the altered scale to create tension. So it's going to be something like the E9th chord, maybe play a couple of licks and then create some tension using the altered scale over the top of that chord, and then as the chord changes back to the D9, I'm going to resolve the melody with that as well. So here we go. Okay, then the altered again. Here's the altered scale. D mixolydian, and then going back into the altered. Okay, so when the altered scale comes in, it's not always that melodic, but I'm not really using it to create melodic ideas as such, but more just tension. And then as the chord changes underneath, that's when I go back to those more sort of melodic ideas that are maybe using the mixolydian or the blues scale or the pentatonic. So I'd encourage you to experiment with these techniques. Set some basic chords up on a loop or something like that. Try out the different scales and get used to those, get used to the sound of those, and then start using them to create tension and release. Playing through the chord changes, and suddenly if you listen back to what you've played, it's going to be very, very different to just using something like the blues scale and help you progress and expand, your vocabulary when improvising. So I hope you found this fun. There are some PDFs and things on some links off this video, so use those if you want to refer back to the scales. Thanks for watching.